The Valari research vessel Quiet Dawn floated dead in space. Its engines had stopped working 3 hours ago, and the emergency lights painted everything in a weak orange glow. Captain Yuna stood on the bridge, watching her crew work frantically at their stations. They were scientists, not soldiers or mechanics. They studied stars and planets. They were not prepared for this. The asteroid field had come out of nowhere. The ship's sensors had failed to detect the smaller rocks until it was too late. Now the engine room was a mess of broken parts and leaking coolant. Their chief technician, an older Valari named Poole, had done everything he could. But he was a researcher who knew just enough to keep things running. He did not know how to rebuild an engine from scratch. Yuna pressed her hands against the cold metal railing and tried to stay calm. Her crew was looking at her for guidance. She was their captain. She needed to be strong. "Send out a distress signal," she ordered. "Universal frequency. Anyone who can hear us." Her communications officer, a young female named Hana, nodded and began working. The signal went out into the empty darkness of space. Yuna knew the chances were not good. They were in the outer rim, far from the major trade routes. Ships rarely came through this area. If someone did receive their signal, they might demand payment that the Quiet Dawn could not afford. Or worse, they might be pirates looking for easy prey. Hours passed. The ship grew colder as they conserved power. The crew wrapped themselves in thermal blankets and waited. Some of them prayed to old gods that the Valari had mostly forgotten. Others simply stared at the stars through the viewport, wondering if this was where they would die. Then Hannah sat up straight, her ears rising in surprise. "Captain, I am receiving a response." Yuna rushed to her station. "Who is it? Korath? Miriel traders? Ar. Kar. Ar. Neither." Hana looked confused. "The signal identifies them as humans." Yuna had heard of humans. Everyone in the galaxy had heard of them by now. They were a young species, barely a century into space travel. They had spread quickly through unclaimed systems, building colonies and outposts with remarkable speed. The Galactic Council considered them energetic but unimportant. A minor species with minor influence. "What do they want?" Yuna asked. "They are asking for our exact position and the nature of our emergency, they say." Hana paused, translating carefully. "They say they are coming to help." 20 minutes later, a ship dropped out of faster-than-light travel nearby. It was a human frigate, smaller than the Quiet Dawn, but clearly built for durability. Its hull was covered in scratches and repair patches, showing that it had seen many journeys. The name painted on its side read "Steady Hand." A voice came through the communication channel. It was warm and friendly, speaking in accented but clear galactic common. "Research vessel Quiet Dawn. This is Captain Teho of the Steady Hand. We received your distress call. Permission to dock and render assistance?" Yuna hesitated. In her experience, no one offered help without expecting something in return. "What are your terms?" There was a pause. "Terms? You need help. We are here." Those are the terms. The human ship docked with theirs. When the airlock opened, Yuna was not sure what to expect. What came through was a group of humans in work clothes, carrying boxes of tools and equipment. Leading them was a man with broad shoulders and a wide smile. He carried a metal container in one hand that released a strange, bitter smell. "Captain Yuna?" he asked, extending his free hand. She had read that humans greeted each other by clasping hands. She accepted the gesture awkwardly. His grip was firm but gentle. "I am Teho. This is my chief engineer, Jisoo." He gestured to a woman behind him. She had dark hair tied back in a practical style, and her hands were already stained with some kind of oil. She gave Yuna a quick nod and immediately looked past her toward the ship's interior. "Where is your engine room?" Jisoo asked. Her tone was direct, almost impatient, but not unfriendly. She simply wanted to get to work. Yuna led them through the ship. Her crew watched the humans with a mixture of fear and curiosity. The Volari were a peaceful species, tall and thin with large eyes adapted to low light. The humans seemed small and dense by comparison, packed with muscle and energy. When they reached the engine room, Jisoo let out a low whistle. "This is not good," she said. Then she smiled. "But not impossible. Dohyun, bring the welding kit. Eunji, I need those replacement coils from crate 7. The humans spread out through the engine room like water filling a container. They worked with a speed and efficiency that amazed Yuna. They talked to each other constantly, sometimes in their own language, sometimes in Galactic Common. There was laughter. Someone started humming a song. Taeho stayed with Yuna on the observation platform above the engine room. He opened his metal container and poured dark liquid into 2 small cups. He offered one to her. "What is this?" she asked, sniffing it cautiously. "Coffee," he said. "A drink from our homeworld. It helps us stay awake and focused. Try it." She took a small sip. It was bitter and strange, but also somehow pleasant. Warm. She felt a little more alert. "Why are you doing this?" she asked. "We cannot pay you. We are just researchers." Taeho leaned against the railing and watched his crew work. "Payment is not why we came." "Then why?" He was quiet for a moment. "On Earth, we have a saying. Pay it forward. It means when someone helps you, you do not pay them back directly. Instead, you help someone else who needs it, and they help someone else, and so on." Yuna did not fully understand. But someone must start the chain. Someone must help first, without receiving anything. Taeho smiled at her. "Yes, someone must be first. Why not us?" 6 hours later, the Quiet Dawn's engines roared back to life. The human engineers emerged from the engine room, exhausted but grinning. Jisoo had a new burn mark on her arm that she seemed completely unconcerned about. Taeho asked for only one thing before the humans returned to their ship. "Share a meal with us." It is tradition. They ate together in the Quiet Dawn's small cafeteria. Human food and Volari food, mixed together on the same table. The humans taught the Volari crew a card game. Someone produced a musical instrument and played soft songs. When the steady hand finally undocked and flew away, Yuna stood at the viewport and watched it go. She held the empty coffee cup in her hands. She did not understand humans yet, but she thought she wanted to. Yuna told the story of her rescue to everyone who would listen. She told her family when she returned home. She told her supervisors when she submitted her mission report. She told other captains when they gathered at stations and ports. The story spread through Volari communication networks like ripples in water. Other species began to hear the story too. At first, they did not believe it. The Korath, an ancient empire built on strict rules and careful record-keeping, dismissed it as exaggeration. "No species helps another without a contract," their diplomats said. "The humans must have received something in return." The Volari simply did not notice the transaction. The Miriel, peaceful traders who moved between systems selling goods and information, found the story interesting. They had dealt with humans before. The humans bargained fairly and kept their word. But helping strangers for free? That was unusual. That was worth investigating. The Drekin Dominion heard the story too. They did not dismiss it or investigate it. They simply noted it and filed it away. The Drekin were warriors. They had built their empire through strength and fear. They did not understand kindness, but they understood strategy, and any species gaining influence was worth watching. 6 months after her rescue, Yuna received a new assignment. The Volari Science Council wanted her to work at Station Helix 7, a massive space station in neutral territory. Dozens of species used Helix 7 for trade and diplomacy. It was a place where information flowed freely. The council wanted Yuna to observe and learn. She was surprised to find a small human delegation on the station. Even more surprised to see a familiar face among them. "Captain Yuna." Taeho smiled when he saw her in the station's main corridor. He looked different in civilian clothes instead of his ship uniform, but his warm expression was the same. Or should I say Ambassador Yuna now? Just researcher, she corrected him. I am here to observe, not negotiate. And you? What brings you to Helix 7? Cultural liaison, he said. Fancy words for talking to people and trying not to cause problems. He gestured to a small cafe nearby. Do you have time for coffee? It became a regular habit. Every few days, Yuna would meet Tejo at the cafe, and they would talk. He told her about Earth, about human history, about the long and difficult journey that had brought his species to the stars. She told him about Valar, about her people's peaceful ways, about their love for knowledge and discovery. But she also watched. She watched the humans on Helix 7, and she began to see a pattern. When a Muriel merchant's cooling system broke down, threatening to kill her cargo of live creatures, human technicians worked through the night to fix it. The Muriel offered payment. The humans accepted only enough to cover the cost of replacement parts. When a Korath diplomat's translation implant malfunctioned during important negotiations, a human named Minho spent 3 hours recalibrating it by hand. The diplomat, embarrassed to need help from a lesser species, tried to give Minho credits. Minho refused politely and said it was no trouble. When a small fire broke out in the station's lower levels, human emergency responders were the first on the scene. They worked alongside station security to put out the flames and rescue trapped workers. 2 humans were injured. They joked about it in the medical bay and said they were happy everyone was safe. Yuna watched all of this. She listened to the conversations in the corridors and cafes. She heard other species talking about the humans. Most were confused. Some were grateful. A few were suspicious. She finally asked Tejo the question that had been bothering her for weeks. What are you really doing here? They were sitting in their usual spot at the cafe. Tejo set down his coffee cup and looked at her with calm eyes. What do you mean? The help. The repairs. The rescues. You ask for nothing in return. But you must want something. Everyone wants something. Tejo was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, Do you know why humans spread so quickly through the galaxy? Yuna shook her head. It was not because we are strong. The Drekken are stronger. It was not because we are smart. The Korath have been studying the universe for thousands of years longer than us. It was because we learned, very early in our history, that the best way to survive is together. He leaned forward, his voice serious now. Humans spent thousands of years fighting each other. We nearly destroyed ourselves many times. War. Disease. Disaster. But we survived because when things got truly bad, we helped each other. Strangers helping strangers. Enemies becoming friends. We learned that kindness is not weakness. Kindness is strength. Yuna considered this. And now you bring this lesson to the galaxy. We try. Tejo smiled again. But there was something sad in it. Not everyone understands. Not everyone wants to understand. But we keep trying. Because we believe that someday, when humanity needs help, someone will remember that we helped them first. Pay it forward, Yuna said, remembering the phrase from their first meeting. Exactly. She thought about the Drekken, watching from their embassy on the upper levels of the station. She thought about the way their ambassador, a male named Vek, looked at the humans with cold, calculating eyes. Some species might see your kindness as weakness, she warned. Tejo's expression did not change, but something shifted in his eyes. A hardness that she had not seen before. Yes, he said simply. Some might. What will you do when they test you? He picked up his coffee cup and took a long drink. When he set it down, the hardness was gone, replaced by his usual warmth. There is another human saying, he said. Speak softly and carry a big stick. What does that mean? It means we prefer to be kind. We prefer to help. We prefer peace. He paused. But if someone mistakes our kindness for weakness and tries to hurt us or our friends, they will learn that we have been preparing for that too. Yuna looked at the humans scattered around the station. Engineers and diplomats. Doctors and traders. All of them smiling, all of them helping, all of them building connections, one small act at a time. She wondered what else they were building that she could not see. I think, she said slowly, that I am beginning to understand humans. Tejo laughed. That is good, because I think the galaxy is going to need to understand us very soon. At the time, Yuna thought he was joking. She would later realize he was making a prediction. The Drekkan Dominion had ruled through fear for 5,000 years. Their philosophy was simple and brutal. The strong survived. The weak served. Any other arrangement was unnatural and doomed to fail. This belief had carried them from a single world to an empire of 200 systems. It had made them one of the most powerful forces in the galaxy. Ambassador Vec was a true believer in Drekkan philosophy. He had earned his position through combat and cunning, defeating rivals and eliminating obstacles with cold efficiency. When he arrived at Station Helix 7, he expected to dominate the diplomatic landscape. Instead, he found humans everywhere, not conquering, not threatening, helping. It disgusted him. He watched the humans repair ships and systems for other species. He watched them share food and medicine. He watched them smile and laugh and make friends. Every act of kindness was an insult to everything he believed. Worse, it was working. Species that had once feared the Drekkan were now turning to humans for support. The balance of power was shifting, slowly but steadily. Vec reported his observations to the Dominion Council. Their response was clear: stop the humans, by any means necessary. The campaign began quietly. A trade agreement between humans and the Miriel was sabotaged when false documents appeared, suggesting the humans had cheated on quality. The documents were proven false eventually, but the deal fell through anyway. Trust, once damaged, is hard to repair. Rumors began spreading through the station. Humans were not as helpful as they seemed. Humans had secret agendas. Humans were planning to conquer the galaxy through economic manipulation. The rumors had no evidence, but they planted seeds of doubt. A Korath official who had publicly praised human assistance was found dead in his quarters. The official cause was heart failure. But Yuna noticed that no proper investigation was conducted. The Korath, usually obsessed with procedure, seemed eager to close the case quickly. She told Tejo about her suspicions. They met not in their usual cafe, but in a private room that the humans used for secure conversations. I think the Drekkan are behind this, she said. The sabotage. The rumors. Maybe even the death. Tejo nodded slowly. He did not look surprised. We know. You know? Then why are you not doing anything? We are doing something. We are watching. We are waiting. We are gathering evidence. Yuna felt frustration rise in her chest. While they hurt you? While they kill people? Tejo's expression was patient, like a teacher explaining something to a young student. If we strike back now, without proof, we become the aggressors. The Drekkan want us to react with violence. It would justify their view of the galaxy. Strong takes from weak. Might makes right. Then what is your plan? We continue helping. We continue building trust. And when the Drekkan make a move that cannot be hidden or denied, we will be ready. Yuna wanted to argue, but she understood the logic. The humans were playing a longer game than she had realized. 3 months later, the Drekkan made their move. A human supply convoy was traveling through disputed space, carrying food and medical supplies to a colony that had been hit by disease. The convoy had no military escort. It was clearly marked as a humanitarian mission. A Drekkan warship intercepted them. The official report called it an accident. The warship's sensors had malfunctioned, identifying the convoy as a military threat. Automatic weapons had fired before the error could be corrected. 17 humans died. The supplies were destroyed. The colony they were trying to help received nothing. The Galactic Council demanded an explanation. The Drekkan ambassador offered a formal apology and compensation credits. His tone made it clear he felt no real regret. It was a message, a test, a challenge. Yuna watched the human response with fear and hope. She expected anger. She expected threats. She expected the beginning of war. Instead, the human ambassador accepted the apology. She took the compensation credits. She expressed her sorrow for the lives lost, and her hope that such accidents could be prevented in the future. Other species were confused. Some thought the humans were weak, some thought they were cowardly. The Drekken believed they had won. Yuna knew better. She had seen the change in Taeho's eyes when the news arrived. The warmth was still there, but underneath it was something different. Something hard and cold and patient, like a blade being sharpened in the darkness. She met him that evening. He was standing at a viewport, staring out at the stars. His hands were clasped behind his back. He did not turn when she approached. "I am sorry," she said, "for your people. Thank you." His voice was calm, too calm. "What happens now? Now we continue. We help where we can. We build where we can. We do not let them change who we are." "That is all?" Taeho finally turned to look at her. His smile was gone. His eyes were steady and serious. "No, that is not all." He paused. "Do you know why the Drekken attacked that convoy? To send a message. To show they are not afraid of you." "Yes. And they expect us to send a message back. To threaten them. To posture and growl like animals fighting over territory." He shook his head. "We will not do that. We will do something they do not expect." "What?" "To ever. We will prepare, quietly, completely. Every human ship is being recalled for upgrades. Every colony is improving its defenses. Every military base is increasing its training. We are not sending a message, Yuna. We are building an answer." Yuna felt a chill run through her. An answer to what? To the question the Drekken are asking. The question they always ask. Taeho's voice was soft, almost gentle. "What happens when you push the humans too far?" He looked back at the stars. Somewhere out there, 17 humans had died for the crime of trying to help strangers. They will learn the answer soon enough. The Drekken invasion fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel above Valar at dawn. There were 200 warships in total. Battle cruisers with heavy armor. Destroyers with fast weapons. Troop carriers filled with soldiers ready to conquer. It was the largest military force the Drekken had deployed in 300 years. The official reason was peacekeeping. The Drekken claimed that the Valari government was unstable and needed assistance. They claimed that Valari citizens had requested protection. They claimed that their presence was temporary and benevolent. No one believed them. Yuna was visiting her family when the invasion began. Her parents lived in a small city near the northern mountains. She had taken leave from her position on Helix 7 to spend time with them. It was supposed to be a peaceful vacation. The first warning came from the Planetary Defense Network. Unidentified ships entering orbit. Many ships. Too many ships. Then the network went silent. As Drekken weapons destroyed the satellites one by one, Yuna rushed outside and looked up at the sky. She could see lights moving among the stars. Bright flashes as weapons fired. Dark shapes blocking out the sun as massive ships took position above the cities. Then, the bombardment began. The Drekken were not trying to destroy the planet. They wanted to conquer it, not kill it. But they wanted the Valari to understand that resistance was pointless. Energy beams struck military installations and government buildings. Missiles hit communication towers and power plants. The message was clear. Surrender or suffer. The Valari had no military. They were scientists and artists, farmers and teachers. They had small security forces to handle criminals, but nothing that could fight a war. Their leaders sent urgent messages to the Galactic Council, begging for help. The Council responded with concern and promises to discuss the situation. They formed committees. They scheduled debates. They did nothing useful. Cities burned. People fled into the mountains and underground shelters. Yuna helped her elderly parents pack essential supplies and join a group of refugees heading for the caves north of the city. Her father could barely walk. Her mother kept looking back at their home with tears in her eyes. "Everything we built," her mother whispered. "Everything we worked for." Yuna held her hand and kept moving. There was no time for grief. Grief could come later. If they survived. In the chaos, she remembered something. A small communication device that Taeho had given her months ago, before she left Helix 7. For emergencies, he had said. Real emergencies. If you ever need us, truly need us, use this. She had almost forgotten about it. Now she pulled it from her pocket with trembling fingers. The device was simple. One button. One frequency. She pressed the button and spoke into the small screen. Please, she said, her voice cracked with fear and exhaustion. We need help. The Drekken are here. They are destroying everything. Please. If anyone can hear this. We need help. She waited. Minutes passed. Hours passed. The sounds of explosions echoed in the distance. Refugees huddled in the cave, holding each other and praying. No response came. Yuna began to lose hope. Perhaps the device was broken. Perhaps the humans were too far away. Perhaps they had decided that helping the Valari was not worth the cost. She would not blame them. The Drekken were powerful. Fighting them meant war. War meant death. 6 hours after she sent the message, a young Valari boy at the cave entrance shouted something. Yuna could not hear the words clearly. She pushed through the crowd to see what was happening. The boy was pointing at the sky. Yuna looked up. At first she saw nothing but clouds and smoke from the burning cities. Then she saw the lights. Dozens of them. Hundreds. Ships dropping out of faster than light travel, appearing in the sky like stars being born. Human ships. They came through jump points across the entire hemisphere. Carriers the size of mountains, releasing clouds of smaller fighters. Cruisers with weapons already charging. Destroyers, moving in tight formations. And behind them, the dreadnoughts. Yuna had heard rumors about human dreadnoughts. Massive ships that humans always claimed were defensive only. She had never believed they existed. She believed now. The largest ship in the fleet moved to the center of the formation. Yuna recognized it even from the ground. The steady hand, now flagship of the 3rd Relief Fleet, Taeho's ship. His voice came through every open communication channel on the planet, every surviving radio, every working screen, even the Drekken military frequencies. Drekken vessels, this is Captain Taeho of the Human Defense Coalition. You have attacked our friends. You have invaded a peaceful world. You have committed acts of war against a species under our protection. His voice was calm, steady, like a doctor delivering a diagnosis. You will withdraw immediately. You will leave this system. You will return all captured territory and prisoners. If you comply, there will be no further conflict. A pause. Then, harder, colder. If you do not comply, you will be removed. This is not a negotiation. This is not a threat. This is a statement of fact. You have 1 hour to begin withdrawal. The clock starts now. The Drekken commander responded with contempt. He laughed at the human ultimatum. He ordered his fleet to engage. He expected an easy victory. Humans were soft. Humans were weak. Humans helped strangers and drank strange bitter drinks and smiled too much. The Drekken commander was wrong. The human fleet moved like a single organism. Fighters swarmed the Drekken formations. Too fast and too many to track. Cruisers focused fire on the largest battleships, overwhelming their shields with coordinated strikes. The dreadnoughts advanced slowly, unstoppable, their weapons turning Drekken destroyers into expanding clouds of debris. Yuna watched from the cave entrance. Around her, Valari refugees emerged to see the battle in the sky. Some wept, some cheered, some simply stared in disbelief. The humans had come. They had actually come. And they had brought enough firepower to shake the galaxy. The Battle of Valar lasted 11 hours. When it ended, the Drekken invasion fleet had been shattered. 60% of their ships were destroyed, torn apart by human weapons or crippled beyond repair. The remaining 40% fled into deep space, their commanders broadcasting desperate retreat orders. The Drekken had lost more ships in one battle than in the previous century of warfare combined. Human casualties were significant. 37 ships destroyed. Over 2,000 lives lost. But they had held the line. They had saved Valar. In the aftermath, Yuna expected the human fleet to leave. They had won. They had made their point. Surely they had other places to be, other battles to fight. Instead, the humans stayed. Transport ships landed in every major city, carrying supplies instead of soldiers. Food, water, medicine, building materials, emergency shelters. Everything a wounded world needed to survive. Engineers spread across the planet, repairing damaged infrastructure. They fixed power plants and water treatment facilities. They rebuilt communication towers and transportation networks. They worked alongside Valari volunteers, teaching them how to use human equipment, sharing knowledge freely. Medical teams set up field hospitals in the ruins. They treated everyone who needed help, regardless of species. Human doctors worked beside Valari healers, learning from each other, combining their knowledge to save more lives. And everywhere, there were humans with thermoses, offering cups of coffee to exhausted survivors. Yuna found Tejo in the ruins of her childhood city. He was helping a Valari construction crew clear debris from a collapsed building. His uniform was covered in dust. There were dark circles under his eyes, showing that he had not slept in days. But when he saw her, he smiled. Yuna, he set down the piece of metal he was carrying and walked over to her. "Your family? Safe," she said. "Thanks to you. Thanks to all of you." He shook his head. "Thanks to everyone. We could not have won without the Valari, who guided our ships through the atmosphere. Without the Miriel traders who gave us supply route information. Without the Korath officials who delayed the Drekkan reinforcements with bureaucratic obstacles." He smiled wider. "It turns out we have many friends. Friends you earned," Yuna said. "With coffee and repairs and kindness. With being human," Tejo corrected gently. "This is who we are. This is who we choose to be." They walked together through the ruined streets. Everywhere Yuna looked, she saw humans and Valari working side by side. A human engineer named Unji was teaching a group of young Valari how to operate a construction vehicle. A medic named Sujin was treating a child's injured arm, while the child's mother wept with gratitude. A technician named Do-hyun was sharing his lunch with an elderly Valari man who had lost his home. Small acts of kindness, repeated thousands of times, building something stronger than any weapon. "The Galactic Council is meeting," Yuna said. "They are discussing sanctions against the Drekkan. War crime charges. Reparations. Good." Tejo's voice carried no satisfaction. Only weariness. "I hope it means something. I hope it prevents the next war, instead of just punishing this one." "You could have destroyed them completely," Yuna said. "Your fleet is strong enough. Why did you let them retreat?" Tejo stopped walking. He looked out at the city, at the mix of destruction and rebuilding, at the people working together in the rubble. "Because we are not like them," he said finally. "We do not conquer. We do not destroy for the pleasure of destroying. We fight when we must. We protect what we can, and when the fighting is done, we help whoever needs helping. Even our enemies, if they allow it. The Drekkan will not understand that. No. They will think we were weak. They will think we made a mistake." Tejo's expression hardened briefly, then softened again. "But someday, maybe in 100 years, maybe in 1,000, someone in the Dominion will remember that the humans showed mercy when they could have shown none. And that memory might change something, might save someone. You never know which act of kindness will matter most." Yuna thought about this for a long moment. She thought about the distress call she had sent into the void. Expecting nothing, she thought about the humans who had arrived with tools and coffee and smiles. She thought about all the small moments that had led to this day. "The Council wants me to serve as Valari ambassador to Earth," she said. "They think I understand humans better than anyone." Tejo raised an eyebrow. "Do you?" "No," she smiled. "But I am willing to keep trying." He laughed and reached into his pack. He pulled out a small package wrapped in cloth. "A gift. For your new position." She unwrapped it carefully. Inside was a small coffee maker and a bag of beans. "For the hard days," Tejo said. "And there will be hard days." Rebuilding is harder than fighting. Keeping peace is harder than making war. But you will not face any of it alone. Yuna held the gift in her hands. Such a small thing. Such a simple thing. But it meant more to her than any treasure or weapon or prize. Pay it forward, she said. Pay it forward, he agreed. She looked out at the city again. Humans and Valari, working together, building something new from the ashes of the old. This was only the beginning. There would be more challenges ahead, more enemies, more tests. But there would also be more friends, more allies, more hands willing to help when help was needed. 10 years later, the Valari Relief Corps would become the largest humanitarian organization in the galaxy. They would help dozens of species through disasters and crises. Their motto, translated from the original human phrase, would become famous throughout known space. Someone helped us once, and on every Valari ship, in every relief station, in every hospital and shelter they operated, there would always be hot coffee brewing. It became something of a tradition. Some traditions are worth keeping,